so much for tuning in to another episode of Teen Gen Talks podcast. The goal is to empower the youth of Glendale, connect youth to community resources, individuals, and organizations. I'm your host, Melissa.
And I'm Desiree. And we had the pleasure of talking to Maynard Okereke, or better known as the Hip Hop MD. Maynard graduated from the University of Washington with a degree in civil engineering. He is an award-winning science communicator, having received both the Asteroid Award for Best Streaming Content and the People of Change Award for his community outreach efforts. His passion for science and entertainment, along with his curiosity for new innovation, has taken him through an incredible life journey. Noticing a lack of minority involvement in the STEM fields, he created Hip Hop Science with the goal of encouraging minorities and youth to pursue more advanced career paths. His background in engineering, acting, business, and credible work within the music industry as an artist make him uniquely qualified to engage on a wide variety of topics from an entertaining perspective. This is highly reflected in his weekly vlogs and daily social media posts, which provide both humorous and informative #SciComm content. We hope you enjoy the interview.
Thank you, Maynard, for taking the time out of your day to talk with us. We have a lot to discuss.
Oh, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Awesome. So to start off the interview, I want to go back to your time at the University of Washington, where you graduated from and received a degree in civil engineering. How was
Yep.
civil engineering introduced into your life, and what made you want to pursue it?
Yeah, so I never actually went to school to originally pursue civil environmental engineering. I actually went into the University of Washington with a goal to study wildlife biology. That was always my passion. That was always something I was interested in. I just had this kind of innate love for nature and wildlife. And I got to the university and I actually met a lot of different peers and even a lot of educators that actually talked me out of it. They were like, there's no money in wildlife biology. You got to go to where the money's at. You got to do engineering. You got to do computer science. And it really hit me. And also, I didn't see a lot of representation, right? People like me that were going to wildlife biology. So I started connecting with organizations like National Society of Black Engineers and started seeing other people that looked like me going into the engineering fields. And so I was like, okay, this should probably be a field that would be good for me. I have some examples of people that are doing it and know some opportunities that I can be able to now graduate and hopefully excel in once I finish school. And so started doing some more research, and engineering was always something I appreciated. It's not like it was out of my wheelhouse. I loved all aspects of STEM. I was into engineering and design and architecture and everything like that, and building things. So the engineering side definitely was still within my wheelhouse, and started learning more about civil environmental engineering and just got invested in it, and did a couple internships while I was in school. One as a nuclear engineer working at the Naval Shipyard in Bremerton, and also worked with the Environmental Protection Agency. So I got that chance to have some hands-on experience doing some engineering work. And so everything just kind of fell into place. And once I graduated, I was blessed and fortunate to have a job right after school.
So, how do you define STEM?
How do I define STEM? So, in general sense, obviously STEM is the acronym, right? Science, technology, engineering, and math. And a lot of times, we as science communicators, we throw in the A in there and make STEAM for art, right? Adding the art element in there as well too. But when you think about STEM in general, you think about these fields that are the face of the future. You think about these opportunities that are going to affect society and affect technological advancements and open up the doors for new innovation. That's kind of what I think of when I think of STEM. I think of what's going to benefit humanity in the future, and I think of how we're going to innovate and change to be able to improve our knowledge and improve our understanding about the world. And that's really what the science fields in general encompass, is opening up your eyes to more new opportunities, learning more about how the world works, learning more about our place in it and how to better protect it. And so that's kind of what I think of in totality when I think of STEM.
And so you created Hip Hop Science. Can you talk a bit more about it and how it came to be?
Yeah. So the Hip Hop Science platform is really a combination of everything that I was passionate about, right? I never really had an outlet per se to really express my true authentic self in any particular area. So even while I was in elementary school, high school, and going up to college, I was always into arts and entertainment. Music was always a big passion of mine. Acting, just being in front of camera, I loved that. But I never really had an opportunity to express my creative side professionally. And so I always kind of did it on the side. So I was doing music projects, I was working with artists. And even after I graduated college, I was still fully invested in the music, but I never really looked at it as a profession that I could really take to the next level. I grew up with African parents, and so the goal was always you're going to be a lawyer, a doctor, an engineer, right? That was their motivation for coming here to the country and hopefully providing a better life for me. And so school and education was always first and foremost. And by the time I graduated and I was working professionally, I looked back and I was like, I've done all of these different things professionally and education wise, but I've never really fully invested into my artistic side. And so leaving my engineering position and moving down to Los Angeles to pursue arts and entertainment, it finally hit me that I can really be able to find a unique merger of really being able to express myself in all assets. And I was always this kind of weird, quirky scientist who was into music and all these different elements, and I always thought I had to be one or the other. And the hip hop science came about as me really wanting to express all these elements that I loved as one. And it ultimately started out as kind of a sketch comedy idea. I was doing some fun, quirky videos of me talking about science in unique ways and applying music and, hip hop culture references. And it eventually just kind of snowballed into this STEM outreach platform that it is now, where I use music, entertainment, and comedy to educate on a wide variety of different scientific subjects. And it's really me just bringing my true personality to the table and trying to express to others that you can be your true authentic self, that you can have passions into multiple different things and still be educated, still be smart, still be eloquent, still be able to speak on different topics. And then now using these platforms, obviously on social media, to be able to educate has really opened the doors. And now I'm able to provide inspiration for others that may be in that position, provide inspiration for others that may have been the position that I was, where they didn't see any representation or people that look like them into the sciences. And now they know, hey, I can bring my true culture, I can bring my true personality, I could bring all these other things that I love, whether it's dance, whether it's music, whether it's fashion. I can now merge them into education and merge them into an understanding of knowledge. And so that's really what ultimately the hip hop science platform has become. And it's been a fun ride, obviously, and excited for the opportunities that are opening up right now with different projects that I have in the works. And for me, it's really being able to now be able to provide support, mentorship, and to be able to now open up the doors for others that are going to pave the way for the future.
How was your passion for music introduced to you?
I don't know if it was never ever really introduced to me per se. I just always connected with music. I came back to the country. I was raised in Cameroon when I was younger. And so I think culturally, music was always a part of culture regardless. But coming back to the country, I had to kind of get through this learning curve and, kind of understand a whole new dynamic, and, getting adapted to a new language and new upbringing and new surroundings and all these different things. And I connected with music because it was just a way to express myself. It was a way to be creative and a way to be able to tap into another side and have another outlet of expression. And so from early age, I was just always into hip hop, and that was just something that just naturally I just fell in love with. And I was blessed early on to have different peers and friends of mine that were into it as well. And so we were able to just kind of galvanize around that. And for me, it was a really great opportunity to be able to now be able to speak on different topics, be able to kind of put my poeticness and all these different artistries that I enjoyed to the table in a unique format. And then also to be able to communicate to people in a different way. I think people don't realize, hip hop is a great way to be able to communicate and tell stories. And I think I've always been a storyteller at heart. And that was really one of the elements that really connected me and drew me to music in general.
And you could really tell your love and passion for what you do. So how do you keep that love and passion alive? And how do you make your job not end up feeling like a job?
Yeah. I think because I get that a lot now, even people ask me that because obviously I do a ton of work now with the science platform, whether it's keynote presentations and creative content and workshops and going, doing stuff with schools and traveling and all these different things. I do a lot of, wide ranging projects with this platform. But even now, I'd never really look at it as work because I get to be able to adapt and bring things that I want to talk about and discuss to the table. And, even opportunities like this to be able to talk to both of you about what I do, like this is fun, right? I get hyped, I get energized to be able to talk about my platform and talk about the work that I do, because I don't look at it as work. It's, to me, it's my life, it's my culture, it's things that I'm interested in. And if I wasn't doing this professionally, as a job, I'll literally still be doing this. I'd still be TV watching all sorts of crazy science shows. I'd still be researching things online. I'd still be, talking about science to my friends and doing random experiments and reading all sorts of random science books and doing wildlife and nature walks and exploring outside. So these are things that I love doing already. And the fact that I can now merge them into a platform that's obviously provides me with opportunities to make money and different things like that is great. But at the end of the day, to be able to now get responses and feedback from people, especially like parents and other youth that say, oh, they use my videos for their classrooms, or they learn so much about about nature or whatever through a video that I did. Those are the moments that I appreciate the most, is knowing that I'm making an impact on others.
So you have collaborated with the Natural History and the La Brea Tar Pits to teach companies and multiple school districts. How did these opportunities come to be?
Those all really started by me just kind of doing the groundwork. I always tell people, if you want to be able to open the doors for different opportunities, you just have to be present and you just have to be active. And for me, I didn't come in ultimately with people reaching out to me to do workshops. I just started going to places and started doing things. I remember early on, Natural History Museum here in Los Angeles is an amazing place, amazing resource. And I wanted to tell people about the cool things that are there. And I learned about some new exhibits that are going on. And so I just showed up as the Hip Hop MD and went to some exhibits and started capturing content and talking about the new exhibits and why they're cool to go to, and tagged Natural History Museum. And ultimately they saw some of the videos that I did and they're like, this is amazing, we love this. And that ultimately turned into a partnership where they brought me out to highlight some new exhibits. Same thing with the La Brea Tar Pits. They're doing the whole big remodel at the La Brea Tar Pits, and I got brought in to be able to see and be a part of the new architecture designs and the changes that they're making there. And that was kind of the kind of the crux of a lot of the different things that I do, especially with my exploratory trips. I just found cool things that are happening in the community, in the area, across the country, and I just go. And eventually those opportunities turned into different partnerships. And so for me, that's the cool part, because I would have been there already doing that stuff. And now, I could get invited to different things like, the release of the James Webb Space Telescope at NASA, or to new exploratory trips, or spending 30 days out at sea on board the EV Nautilus. These opportunities came because people started seeing the work that I was doing, the content that I was putting out, and how I was able to educate people on those things. And so those really just culminated from me just being present, being excited, and just walking through the door and showing up.
And you've touched upon this a little bit, but I think it's amazing how you also showcase how you can be a creative and also be good in STEM related fields. You don't have to choose one or the other. Because I do think that it's something that young people and just people in general struggle with,
Yeah.
thinking that they have to, like, they need to choose one or the other. So
Mhm.
was that ever something you struggled with, which I'm sure you did? So if so, how did you overcome it?
Yeah, I definitely struggle with that. And I struggle with that ultimately up until I really, not even after I created the hip hop science platform, I was still kind of in a battle with that, because I was doing that creative content, but it was still me kind of putting it to the side and not really showcasing all aspects of myself. But for me, it was one of those things where I had to really just bring my passion to the table. And I have a quote that I always live by: when you find your passion, it becomes your purpose and you can no longer be passive. And that separation was ultimately what led me to leaving engineering, because I was in a position where I had a great job. I was making good money. I was in the profession that I'd gone to school and sacrificed 5 years of my life to get to. And then I got to that position and I was working, and I never really felt connected to it. I always kind of felt a separation. And it was really because I'd go to work, I'd put in my time, I was working crazy hours, 10, 12 hours a day. And then I'd go home and I'd be in the studio working on a music project, or I'd be going to auditions and doing commercial projects. And that was always felt like an alter ego, felt like something I had to keep separate. And then that started clashing with my work, and people at work started finding out about these different things that I did, and it was awkward. And I was always trying to balance and juggle these kind of two different lives. And I wanted to be in a position where I can walk in every single day and be content with who I was and what I did and brought to the table, and not feel like I had to be one thing or the other. And that's really what led me to just leaving engineering and then going to the entertainment side, and then realizing when I was in entertainment, I felt like I had to keep this education engineer side, a part of me to the side as well too. And so I went into a struggle with that. And so it really just takes time. It takes exploring. It takes kind of trying new things, stepping out of different areas and walking into others, and just doing. And that's one thing I've always been about, is action. If you want to do something, if you have an inkling to do something, just do it. You never know what's going to happen, what doors that's going to open up for you. And so whenever I had a desire to try something new, I just did it. And from there, that's how, the Hip Hop Science platform has been able to grow and be able to kind of nurture and turn into what it was. I never knew it was going to get to this level, but it happened from me doing it, and happened from me trying. And so I think for anybody that's, in that position where they're having that struggle and they're trying to find that balance, just do it. Just do what you want to do, and don't come in with like, oh, this is going to become this. Just try it for what it is, and it will ultimately turn into what it's supposed to be by you just putting that action in.
So I want to touch upon your entrepreneurship. You're the co-founder of Jada Brands. Can you talk a little bit more about the Jada Brands and how it came to be?
Yeah, so yeah, Jada Brands, it's a healthy food company. We started out as a seasoning company, and then kind of transition into having some plant-based meat products. But that really was another thing that started out for me just being curious and trying new things. So along with entertainment and music and obviously the sciences, I was always an entrepreneur at heart. I always loved creating and doing my own thing. And being an entrepreneur, I think for me, just came natural. And that kind of stemmed also from leaving engineering and going, and moving out and doing entertainment work, because now I was working for myself, making my own hours, bringing my own creativity to the table. And a good friend of mine had an idea for a business at the time. And he was like, hey, we should try this and see where it goes. And I'm like, why not? That's always been my thing. Why not? You never know what's going to happen. And so me saying yes and just trying it ultimately turned out into this business that's grown into way larger than we ever imagined at the beginning. But that really stemmed from me just being curious and wanting to express my creative side and learning a lot along the way. So like I said, we started out as just kind of a small little company doing stuff in-house, selling stuff in little small markets, to eventually getting on Shark Tank and now having products in superstores across the country and doing business across the globe. And that really just started for me just wanting to try something new. And the trajectory of it has been crazy, but that was also just a culmination of me bringing my true passions to the table and bringing my true self to the table. And now I'm able to tie that in with a lot of the things I do on the science side, and doing business talks and doing talks about entrepreneurialism and doing talks about bringing your passion to the table and branding, and all these different things have all culminated from me having an opportunity to be able to do a diverse range of different things. And so, yeah, so that ultimately was another step of me trying and putting myself out there and seeing what happened.
And you use a lot of social media to showcase your brand and your voice, but how did you build that social capital, and how has social media become like a leverage for you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For social media is always one of those things. It's weird, right? There's no true formula to it. And, you obviously get a lot of people that want to come out and become, TikTok superstars, or, IG influencers, and, social media famous and all these different things. But for me, it was just a lot of groundwork. It was just me, like I said, bringing my true self to the table, talking about things that I cared about, And I didn't come into it with the goal of like, I'm going to have 1 million followers and do all these different things. And even now it's like, it's not like I got a crazy following or something like that, but people reach out to me for my content and for the work that I do, because I'm able to bring, unique passion and unique energy to the table, and also have a unique, topic to talk about, something unique to represent. And that's obviously encouraging more youth and a minority involvement into STEM. And for me, having that mission and having that backbone as a crux of what I do has been super valuable in helping my social media platform grow, because I have an expression, I have a voice, I have a meaning, and there's a purpose behind what I'm doing. And that ties into the quote that I mentioned earlier: when you find your passion becomes your purpose, and you can no longer be passive. I know the reason why I'm doing this work. I know the reason why I put content out there. Others are able to connect with it, and I'm able to find a niche of people that have gone through similar struggles that I have, that are looking for mentors, or looking for opportunities, looking for other people that they can talk to. And so having an opportunity to be able to utilize these social media platforms to talk about these different things and bring more awareness and bring more joy and curiosity and excitement about sciences, especially to underserved communities, that's really just been a culmination of me bringing my true passions to the table and putting, unique content and bringing a unique message that I know people out there need.
For anyone wanting to start their own business, what is a tip that you would give them?
I would say, for anybody that's looking to start their own business, the first and foremost is you got to start from somewhere. Don't people always kind of think, oh, I'm going to start a business, so I'm going to start be an entrepreneur, do something on my own. It has to be perfect right off the bat. And a lot of times that thought that it has to be perfect, or that everything has to be, all your I's have to be dotted, your T's have to be crossed right off the bat, sometimes hinders people and they never get started. So I always tell people this when I do sessions about entrepreneurialism: you have to get started. You have to start from somewhere. I look back at some of the first content that I did, some of the first projects that I worked on. They're nowhere near the level of stuff that I'm doing now. You're always going to grow. You're always going to get better. But if you kind of stifle yourself right off the bat because you're fearful of like how people are going to react, or what people are going to think, or that it's not perfect, or I don't know everything yet, you're going to stop yourself from the progress that you're eventually going to make inevitably. And so I always say to people, get started, start somewhere, and do your own research. There's so many things and tools around you that you have easy access to, that you don't have to pay anything for. YouTube, Google searches, TikTok searches. There's somebody doing something that you want to do right now that has all of the resources and all of the information that you already need. So be resourceful. Use the tools that are around you. Use the things that are around you that you don't have to pay anything for out of pocket right off the bat, and use those as a crux. And then ultimately build a community. I think those are the top three things: get started, be resourceful, and build and find a community. Nobody does any of this work by themselves. I wouldn't be able to do anything that I do right now, this hip hop science platform, if I was only working by myself and just did this work in kind of my own bubble. You have to find a community. You have to find a niche. You have to find a tribe, like-minded people, because those are the people that are going to support you. Those are going to people that are going to rally for you. They're going to open doors for new opportunities. You're going to find a unique community that's going to bridge that gap that you need. And so those would be the three things: just get started, be resourceful, use the tools around you, and build a community.
And how did you tackle this idea of making sure that your brand or, program lives beyond you and continues making that impact that you have been doing so far?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I don't know if I've necessarily gotten to that point where I know it'll live beyond me. uh Ultimately, that would be great. I would love that, because this work that I do is bigger than me. The goal of encouraging more minority and youth involvement in STEM and changing the face of science and having more representation in science is going to be a huge community effort, a global effort ultimately. And so for me, I hope to be that spark that will now generate that into others. And so I think that's why it's important to be able to use social media and all these other platforms, because now I can give a voice to the voiceless. I can be a spark of inspiration or a spark of curiosity to a young working professional that's, just graduating, is working in the business right now, or someone that's in high school and they're looking to potentially start a career in something and they don't know what that is, or even a youth that maybe doesn't have parents or somebody else that's doing work in STEM, but they want to do something that sparks the curiosity and will now be able to leverage them into new opportunities to be able to grow as they get into higher education. If I can spark curiosity or excitement or be an inspiration to any one of those voices or faces, to me, that's what's going to keep that legacy going, because now ultimately you'll have someone that's going to follow in my shoes or follow in my footsteps or follow into another diverse individual that's doing work in STEM's footsteps, and now create a lane and create a door that they can now be able to have others follow them. So as long as I can be able to spark inspiration in at least one person or group of people, to me, that's ultimately going to pave the way for success for others.
You work with a lot of youth. What is something that the youth has taught you?
Ooh, that's another good question. I would say don't underestimate don't underestimate youth, for sure. I think a lot of times, even as young working professionals and adults, sometimes we look back and we know what we probably thought of when we were at that age, but a lot of times that might lead to doubt, right? Thinking that, oh, they don't know anything, or that we have to speak down to them. And I've realized in a lot of the work that I do that kids are way smarter than a lot of times that we give them credit for. They're aware of different things. They have an understanding of how the world works. They have an understanding of people around them, the emotions that they feel, how things are spoken to them. And I do this a lot with teachers, and with a lot of the work that I do with educators that are working with youth, and how to connect with youth in different ways. And one of the things I always tell them is that youth are very observant. They're able to see and connect with you in a way that you don't even know that they're connecting with you. And so if you're in a classroom and you're teaching youth and you don't really have a passion for what you're doing, and you're not really bringing that true energy, and you're not truly there for the right reasons, you may think that you're, on the surface, that you are giving the information that they need and it's good enough, but they can detect that. They have a knack for being able to know if someone is really true and authentic or not. And I think the more and more that people realize that, then that's going to help education in general, because now you're going to get a plethora of educators that are working with youth that will now be able to express and communicate in a voice and the manner that they are able to connect with and be able to learn from. And I think that's really important and really valuable, to make sure to have that understanding that youth are way more aware than we give them credit for. And if we don't come in with the energy and the passion and the knowledge and empathy, all these different things that they need, then whatever content, whatever things that we're trying to educate them on are not going to be received. And so that's definitely one thing I've learned from working with youth, is to give them a lot more credits, be a lot more aware, acknowledge the fact that they know, and they may not obviously know to the extent of different things that we know, but they are aware and they're observant, and that natural curiosity is still within them. They haven't gone through life experiences where they're jaded and stripped of all these different things like we ultimately get to when we start working and start getting into higher education and all these different things. We have all these experiences that ultimately reshape us. But youth they're there with that full curiosity to the table. All expressions, everything that they want to learn is right there. They're hungry, they want to ask questions, and we have to find ways to be able to fuel that curiosity and stimulate that curiosity and keep it energized.
So before we end, we have some rapid fire questions.
Okay.
The first question is, what is your favorite color?
Ooh, favorite color? Green. I'm a green guy. I like green, like dark green, forest green. I'm an earth tone guy. So yeah, earth tones in general for sure.
When are you the happiest?
Outside exploring. I'm a big nature guy, so anytime on a hike, exploring wildlife, nature reserve, nature parks, anything outside that gets me immersed into nature and wildlife, for sure is my happy place.
Knowing what you know now, what advice would you give your 18-year-old self?
I would say, do what you love. Do what you love and not what you're expected. Because yeah, if I from early on, if I had just stuck with what I actually love doing, I feel like I could have I could have bypassed years of discovery and ups and downs and leaving things and jumping back into the things. Do what you love and be purposeful about what you're doing. Have a mission, have a goal, know how it's going to affect others and how it's going to influence others. And so that would be my advice to my 18-year-old self.
If you could have three people, dead or alive, for dinner guests, who would they be?
Ooh, that's a great question. I like this one. I'll go with my three favorite people, and they're all alive. I'm a big rock fan, so Dwayne the Rock Johnson, that's like my idol. So anything rock related, I'm with it. So The Rock is for sure at the dinner table. We're gonna be kicking it. Barack Obama will be at the table for sure. Just having just kind of a generational leader like that that's seen so much, lived through so much and experienced so much and been, pivotal in shaping the world for sure. And then I got to go with the hip hop artist that I love, and that's Nas. Nas is my favorite artist of all time. And so Nas, Barack Obama, and The Rock at the table. That would be an interesting convo for sure.
What are you most afraid of?
I'm a nature lover. I love all sorts of different wildlife, insects, snakes. I mean, even spiders to a certain level, like I can maintain. But for whatever reason, I cannot stand cockroaches. Cockroaches terrify me. I can't be around them if they scurry around. It's done. I had a cockroach in the house a couple weeks ago, and it took me about an hour to finally be able to kill this cockroach. So yes, I have a weird, strange fear about cockroaches, and so anything cockroach related is a no-go for me.
What is the song that you have on repeat currently?
That's a tough one because I really don't have songs on repeat. I'm
Mm.
I like literally every day I'm on a different playlist at the gym. So that's a tough one. But I am a big J. Cole fan. I love J. Cole. And so anything J. Cole is usually a top item on my playlist. So I'll usually keep a J. Cole playlist on deck at any time.
What do you want your legacy to be?
My legacy, I want people to look back at the work that I did and know that I brought my full self to the table, brought my full energy to the table, and that I was the person that was hungry for life and hungry for curiosity and wanting to know more, and wanting to do better and be my better self at all times, and then ultimately being able to give back, making sure that I supported people around me, making sure that I supported my community, and making sure that I left with an impact. I think for me that would be fundamental part of my legacy, making sure that I paved the way for others to be successful.
What is a book that you have read recently or are currently reading that you would recommend?
Ooh, another good question. What I actually just finished this book behind me, this Cosmic Queries book by Neil deGrasse Tyson. Obviously, I do also in my science work. I do all sorts of areas of science, and astronomy for sure is one of the things I talk about quite a bit. And this book actually has a lot of great astrophysics information from a very fundamental kind of basis layer of like anybody can read it and get a good general understanding about the cosmos and how the universe works. And so if you are looking to nerd out on anything astro related, Cosmic Queries is a great one.
So thank you so much. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to talk with us. Can you let everyone at home know about any upcoming projects and where they can connect with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find my work, my platform, Hip Hop Science, at Hip Hop Science Show on, whatever, whether it's IG or TikTok. My website, hiphopscienceshow.com. Those are definitely the easiest places to find me and see some of the work that I do, all my crazy videos and science related content. A lot of great projects in the works right now, working on a book myself. Working on a couple partnerships right now that are hopefully turn into some broadcast television opportunities. And so hopefully you guys will be seeing me and some of my work on a screen near you coming soon.
Awesome. Well, once again,
Thank you.
thank you so much. We really enjoyed having you on here. And yeah, we love what you're doing. You're doing amazing. So thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. It's been fun.
Did you enjoy this episode? I'm sure you did. Don't forget to follow us on our socials on Facebook and Instagram at MyGlendaleLAC.
And follow us on Spotify and Apple or anywhere where you get your podcast from at Teen Gen Talks. Also, make sure to give us a like and subscribe to the YouTube channel Glendale Library Arts and Culture, where we post the full video episodes every Friday at 4:30 p.m.